Studies had become impossible due to my new relationship with Mikael and my plan to fast forward through my studies. Instead, I'd ended up sharing a dorm room with Mikael and being privately tutored by him and the others, as well as the teachers who'd volunteered to help me. Unfortunately, Mikael's new status as my familiar meant that, like Shiro, he had to participate in my lessons. Even now, the asshole stood by my side, smirking knowingly, well aware that his sole presence was distracting me. I gritted my teeth and forced back the surge of irritation that erupted through me. This was my fault, because I hadn't been able to protect Shiro myself, and I'd been forced to turn to someone else to do it. I could hardly expect Mikael to change personalities because he'd revealed his secret for my sake. And if I couldn't handle it and still be coherent in class, that was also something that I was responsible for. Dean Mephistopheles didn't seem to completely agree.
"I see," he said, with a tight, unpleasant smile. "Perhaps I should have asked you a different question. List the different types of angels."
That was basic information, and among the first things we'd learned in angelic defense arts. Still, the way Mikael tensed by my side kept me from providing a complete answer. "Seraphim," I started. "Cherubim, thrones, dominions, virtues, powers, princes, archangels, guardian angels." Mephistopheles nodded, but he wasn't satisfied with my reply.
"Yes, and?"
"Nephilim," I finished, suddenly shaking in my seat.
"Very good, Ms. Michaelis. Now let's go over why this is important, because you've clearly forgotten. Each type of angel has different priorities and different power levels. Some are more likely to fall into temptation than others. And there are specific angels, like powers, which you need to avoid. But most importantly, not all angels have wings. And when they do, said appendages aren't corporeal. They're much too powerful to require anything physical to sustain them. They defy all rules of reality, and gravity is no different. The cherubim are among the exceptions to this rule. They possess 2 pairs of wings, one of which was meant for protection. However, they can fly just as easily as the rest of their brethren. Can you guess what the other wings are meant for?
I shook my head. This wasn't something we'd discussed in class, and I hadn't found out anything about it in my readings.
"Of course you can't,"
Dean Mephistopheles said, not seeming disappointed in my failure.
"Make a note of it. I expect you to find out by our next class." That brings us to the Nephilim. Half demon, half angel, they possess flesh and bone wings they make use of to fly. They are trapped between 2 worlds, and that makes them vulnerable. It would be very foolish of you to forget that, Ms. Michaelis. You and your familiar do not have many friends at the Academy of the Devil, and if you lack focus, your problems will only increase.
He turned his gaze onto Mikael.
"And you might know everything I'm trying to teach her, but don't forget that, through your rash actions, you've exposed yourself and her to great public scrutiny and opprobrium. If you thought you had it bad before, you'll find it'll be even tougher when the school year begins again, and I won't be able to protect either of you."
The more Mephistopheles spoke, the darker Mikael's expression grew. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want him to blame himself for something that wasn't his fault. "There's nothing wrong with being a Nephilim, sir," I said, interrupting the dean's little speech. "I know that people here hate it. You pointed it out eloquently at the end of the first year. But I'm going to prove all of them wrong."